Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this series on budget constraints. Today, we'll see how different types of policies can impact our budget constraint. So, we'll be discussing two specific policies, taxes and subsidies. So, let's start with the first policy, a specific tax that is collected on one good. So, let's consider an economy with two goods here, rice and gasoline. So imagine having a budget of $60. Bag of rice costs $2. A gallon of gasoline costs $4. When we plot the budget constraint with rice on the x-axis and gas on the y-axis, the intercepts are 30 for rice and 15 for gas. By the way, if you're keen to brush up on the derivation and understanding of the budget constraint, the first video of this series might be useful to revisit. So, given that the price of gas is double the price of rice, for each gallon of gas, we are willing to sacrifice 2 bags of rice. Well, with an additional $2 tax, the effective cost of gas for us now jumps from $4 to $6. So, basically, this tax behaves like a price increase. So, the budget constraint swings inwards, as we can see here. So, what does this mean practically? So we now have to sacrifice more bags of rice to buy a single gallon of gas. Also, it changes the intercepts in the sense that if we choose to exhaust all of our funds, all of our $60 in gas, would be able to afford just 10 gallons instead of the previous 15. So now let's look at the second policy. So it's a specific subsidy on one good. So a subsidy is essentially the opposite of a tax. So it's basically when the government contributes towards the cost of a product for the population. So suppose that the government offers a $1 subsidy per bag of rice. This reduces your expenditure on each bag of rice from $2 to just $1. In terms of our budget constraint, a subsidy functions much like a price reduction. So when a subsidy is provided, our budget constraint shifts outward. Now let's dive a little bit into this. When the price drops to $1 per bag of rice, we can now afford 60 bags of rice because each bag costs only $1 and we've got $60. So the slope of our budget constraint, so the opportunity cost, also changes because rice is now less expensive. So we now basically have to give up less gas to get one bag of rice. And that's a wrap. So we've just examined how different policies like taxes and subsidies can influence our budget constraint